Are you looking to stay informed about what's going on in Madison without the media spin? Well, here's the latest news from the Wisconsin Assembly Chambers brought right into your home, directly from the office of your representative, who truly values his constituents' feedback and in always working hard on the issues that matter to you. Welcome to the Ramthun Report. Hello, fellow patriots. Welcome to the 35th episode of the Ramthun Report. And this week we've got some action behind the words. This week's hot topics include a recap of last week's press release that we called for decertification and a follow-up with a resolution that'll get it done. A segment about some legislation that we are doing to follow up with the resolution to help fix the problem for the future. And our last segment covers what's upcoming next week, which should be some big movement for the state of Wisconsin. So here's Representative Ramthun to talk about the resolution that we have drafted as a mechanism for decertifying the Wisconsin election.
Hi everybody, Ramthun Report number 35 on the docket today. Thank you for tuning in to the internationally acclaimed Ramthun Report. Last week I spoke at a press release I sent out asking to reclaim our electoral ballots for the 2020 election. The press release also qualified as decertifying the election. Resonated throughout the state quite well. I was told that many of the members of my legislative colleague body were approached by their constituents and asked why they did not or couldn't support this, or why would they not support Ramthun or Branchin, and the response was something to the effect that there isn't a mechanism that allows for the state to decertify its election. Wrong answer, but hey, thanks for playing. Right here is a 6-page joint resolution that I have drafted in my office, 6 pages, that allows for the state of Wisconsin to decertify its election under the fraudulent terms outlined therein. And each of the expressions of data speak at qualified empirical data that confirms and supports their legitimacy. So we have qualified data that says, yes, the more than nefarious actions took place. Yes, illegal actions did occur, and fraud vitiates everything. So like a bank, for example, if you bank at a bank and money is stolen from you from one employee who embezzles or multiple employees, when the bank finds out that they've been defrauded, they don't just fire the employees that were involved, they shut the bank down. They investigate the entire situation of who did what, when and where did the money go, and oh, by the way, they make sure that the money that was stolen is returned to the people that it was taken from, so they get reimbursed for their loss. The same mentality applies to this joint resolution, where we're saying basically that the information we have obtained to this date, and more is coming, by the way, I heard a lot more is coming next week, which will validate the importance of this resolution request now, to make this a no-brainer. So for those of you members of my party and or the Assembly body and Senate legislature overall that don't believe there's a mechanism for doing right for the people who were done wrong to last November, it's right here. And it's coming your way, live and in living color, as soon as I can get a senator to help me make sure that that happens. The other point I'd like to make is in the resolution expression, there are solutions that are built into how we can prevent this from ever happening again. So these aren't Band-Aid fixes, these are common sense legislative acts that will make sure that what was done can't happen again. So you've got the request to get something done, you've got the action that backs it up, and within the action, you've got supportive elements that make sure it won't happen again. That's what happens in this office. That's how we get things done of, by, and for the people. And that's what's going to happen here. So we've got what we need. We just got to get the right person. So it comes down to right person, right role, right time. Who in the legislature wants to be part of making history? Now's your chance. Here's your tool. Come on board. Let's get it done. Thank you for your time. We'll be in touch. Bye now.
So we hope we find a senator soon so we can introduce the resolution to the Assembly body. Now let's hear about some of the legislation that we're putting into place that will coincide with our resolution.
I'm back with an update on the legislation that is emanated out of this office as a result of the joint resolution I alluded to in my prior segment. We've got 7 bills that we'd like to tee up for presentation. These are common sense bills. In fact, I will tell you, in the case of one of them, I don't even know why we have to make it part of law, but you know, in order to ensure things get done around here, we have to do these requests. So, not in particular order, common sense legislation. Data cleanup bill asking to take any inactive voters and place them into a separate historical record database, and also to separate them on servers so that they're not on the same central server. Item number 2, log file data that reflects login and log out of voting machines of any manufacturer used in elections, downloads, uploads, etc. shall be kept and included as voting data, required to be kept for 22 months and treated like ballot data. So instead of worrying about the difference between ballot data that's downloaded to thumb drives and everything else that nobody seems to care about, which is where all the real red meat is, if you would, we want to request that all of the data is kept for 22 months. So if any sort of investigations, forensic or otherwise, happen in any future elections, we don't have to worry about lost data. Item number 3, if there was any fraudulent activity found in elections that reveals laws were broken or manipulated, that election is null and void. A new election must be held within 30 days. So this plays into what could have happened and should have happened had we had this type of law in place last November. It'll keep people on their toes and maybe will prevent cheating. The idea of it, at least anyway. Any contested election can be forensically audited, including description of what forensic audit is based on, resolution terminology, including 24/7 live stream coverage. So if an election is deemed as fraudulent, it should be automatically audited as a condition of that claim, and that is something that also will be put in a presentation of what they're going to be auditing, individual items, and it's also going to be live streamed to make sure people can watch it 24/7. A bill to dissolve the WEC, completely strike the 2015 Act 118 and give those duties to the Secretary of State is a bill I'd like to push out to see what happens with that. I know we have a couple of good candidates for Secretary of State this year. Justin Sumetka and Jay Schrader are running, and they're talking about having elections controlled by Secretary of State. I don't think it's about people, it's about the position and the responsibilities of the role. And right now the WEC is so shattered and broken that I really think we need to consider that strongly. So we'll give that a shot and see what happens with that. Deceased voter deletion upon publication of death notice by state. This is a no-brainer. I don't know why we have to tell people to take individuals who passed away off the voter log, but frankly we have to, because they're still on there and they're being used to create fraudulent ballots. Last but not least, bill idea to create a separate electoral college for within the state. This idea was floated to me last night at a presentation I did in Fond du Lac, and I thought I'd give it a shot to see how it floated in the body. And you know, sometimes you have ideas and you see what sticks on the wall. This one has merit from within the state. So you've got 6 Republican electors and you've got 4 Democratic electors. So hypothetically, when it comes to election time, the electoral ballots would go toward the respective party, and it would help create a more competitive field, and it would take away from the monopoly of electoral college votes in any one particular area, and it would take away the element of control that swing states have on our current election process. So I kind of like the idea, at least from a discussion point. We'll see how it plays out in the court of public opinion, which is the truest court to be concerned about nowadays. Thanks much for your time. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye now.
In this office, we feel it's important to follow up our words with actions, and that legislation will truly help to amend future elections in Wisconsin. Now we have a segment where Representative Ramthun qualifies all the help that we've received from all the Patriot groups and some big announcements that are upcoming next week.
Hey everybody, closing comments for this week's Ramthun Report number 35. You know, I'm hearing next week is going to be a substantially huge week for this state of Wisconsin in regards to voter integrity for our election. We've got multiple events here at the Capitol going on, with Legislative Audit Bureau report going to be reviewed by the Joint Legislative Committee on Audits. We've got a report that I hear is coming out from the Special Prosecutor's area of activity for the last several months. And it's possible, if not probable, that the Campaign and Elections Committee will be meeting as well to take additional action. So we've got some pretty serious things coming down the pipe, and I think it has everything to do, I know it has everything to do with the activity and efforts of all of us. We as a patriot group of people fighting of, by, and for the people to ask the questions and demand resolution to the concerns that impede our belief in our electoral process have materialized into factual information that proves we were right and that justice is on its way. Now, when additional information comes out and members of my legislative collegiate body see that information and hear it firsthand, I believe we'll have many more people understanding what we've been looking at and pursuing for months now here in the Ramthun office. And that is, we have issues with our election and we need to take action. So when action time comes, we have a resolution ready to go. We have additional legislation that will help ensure to regain the trust in our process, as well as prevent recurrence of anything that nefarious or illegal had happened. I'm confident with the efforts of all people, including the growing efforts within this building, that we will have closure soon, and so help me God. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great week, and next week will probably be the barn burner we've been waiting for a long time. So hang on, everybody. We're this close. Be patient. It's hard, but be patient. Stay tuned for coming attractions. Bye now.
That said, this concludes the 35th episode of the Ramthun Report. Remember to share this content with as many of your fellow patriots as possible. Together, we can truly restore the principles of a government of, by, and for the people. And we are surely close. We will see you next week. God bless you and yours always.